Star Trek Alliance 13th Anniversary Bundle has been announced, so let's get into it. I'm going to start with the ships because, this is Star Trek Online. We know what we're about. The first of the new ships is the Terran Hydra Intel Destroyer, which is the Terran version of the Prometheus. Now, something to point out first, the weapons layout on this ship was bugged during the live stream. This is a destroyer, but you can see here that it has a 5-1 weapons layout. That is not correct. A destroyer normally would have a 5-2 weapons layout. Jonathan Herlock on the live stream said he would look into this because, yeah, it's bugged. Hopefully that'll get fixed before it goes live. But yeah, 5-2 weapons layout with an experimental weapon, 3 device slots, 3 engineering console slots, 3 science console slots, and 5 tactical console slots. In the bridge officer layout, this is a full intel ship, so this is going to have a commander tactical / intel seat. Along with that, it's going to have a lieutenant commander engineering / pilot seat. I've got a few mixed feelings about this pilot seat, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm not upset about it, but I would have liked that to be Miracle Worker. Yeah, it's also got a lieutenant commander universal, an ensign level universal, and a lieutenant level science seat. The console is called Harmonic Yield Distribution via Radial Aperture, or for short, just Hydra. The passive buffs on the console are pretty straightforward, 30% buff to turn rate, flight speed, and damage of your hangar pets and torpedoes. It also gives a 20% buff to cannon damage. I really wish they had made that just general energy weapon damage, because I like my beams. The click ability is where this thing gets interesting. When you activate it, it will summon all of your pets, and I mean all of your pets, pretty much, your saucer separation stuff, your hangar pets, anything you've spawned in. I think the way they described it as just anything with an engine will be spawned over to you, and it will deal a burst of phaser damage in front of you. It'll look like a big flame, but it'll be phaser damage. The more pets that are summoned, the more phaser damage it'll do. Since this console was made with the multi-vector assault mode in mind, it actually gives you sort of a light version of the multi-vector assault mode without having to use the old multi-vector assault mode console. This console will let you use multi-vector assault mode for 60 seconds, but it will only give you the alpha variant, meaning that you'll be in command of the saucer section. And obviously this added effect will only work on variants of the Prometheus, because they are the only ship that can use multi-vector assault mode. I thought that was a really nice addition, adding the multi-vector assault mode onto this console, because that way you can use that effect with this new console and, still get that extra phaser damage from the multi-vector assault mode pets. But of course you still have the option to use the old multi-vector assault mode along with this, and then in that case you would get the full range of options that the old console comes with. Now, like I said, this console will summon any pets that you have summoned, and I think that was kind of the inspiration for the pilot seat, because one of the pilot abilities is called Reinforcement Squadrons, which will summon in a bunch of shuttle reinforcements that will fight alongside you, which was recently revamped in the recent pilot revamp. Using that ability is going to benefit this console, so I imagine that is the thinking behind this pilot seat. The starship trait is called Strike Group Command Authority, and it is a bonus damage buff for your pets that will scale depending on what type of pets you're using. If you're using nothing but fighter pets, that will be a 30% bonus damage buff. Throw in at least one frigate into that mix, that will be up to 40%. And add a multi-vector assault mode separation or a saucer separation, so if you have that pet flying around, that will be up to 50%. This is clearly meant to be part of the ongoing effort to make carriers a bit more relevant, because that much bonus damage being able to be applied to your pets, that's a nice trait. I'm actually pretty excited about that. And not only that for carriers, but it's also adding relevancy to saucer separation and multi-vector assault mode. I'm really curious if that 50% buff will also be affected by the old Aquarius console off the old Tier 5 Odysseys. I don't know if that got brought up on the live stream or not. The ship also comes with a new experimental weapon, and it's an interesting one. It's called Armed Loitering Munition. This is another thing that's kind of meant to feed into the console, because what this experimental weapon does is spawn a bunch of pets. I think it said you could spawn a maximum of like 5 or 6 of these, and what they'll do is just kind of sit there and fire phaser damage at your enemies. It won't be a lot of phaser damage, because it's they're basically just poking at the enemy's shields, waiting for them to find a shield facing that is dropped. Once that phaser damage has made contact with a downed shield facing, it will rush at the enemy target and blow up. I doubt this is going to be the most useful experimental weapon, but honestly, it is probably the funniest one I've ever seen, and I cannot wait to play around with it. Honestly, if I ever make a lazy boat that needs an experimental weapon slot, this is probably going to be it, because that's just too funny, man. That's hilarious. But like I said earlier, this thing isn't going to be completely useless because it is more pets that are going to feed into that console. So overall, for the Hydra, I like the ship. This is a good ship, full intel ship, so it's going to be fantastic for surgical strikes, but you don't have to do surgical strikes on this. You can easily do cannon scatter volley, or even fire at will if you wanted to. Pilot seat is still a little but with the recent pilot revamp, that's not as bad as it was. And like I said, you know, with the reinforcement squadron's ability, you're going to be able to do some neat stuff with that console. Plus, you've got the Starship trait that buffs your pet damage, and the experimental weapon that literally is just pets. Honestly, if you like pet builds, you're going to want this ship. And you guys know I like my pet builds, so yeah, this is definitely going to be a get for me. Next up is the Terran Eagle Pilot Raider, and this one is probably the most interesting one out of this bundle. The best way to describe this ship, you remember the Tamare, the Alliance Raider from, I think it was 2 years ago now? It's basically the same ship, except they added pilot maneuvers on top of that. And honestly, that's kind of a cool thing. It's a Raider, so it's going to have a 5-1 weapons layout with an experimental weapon, 2 device slots, 2 engineering consoles, 4 science consoles, and 5 tactical console slots. Like I said, this is a Raider, so the bridge officer seating is going to be a bit predictable. It's got a commander level tactical / pilot seat, a lieutenant commander universal / command seat, lieutenant commander universal seat, lieutenant level universal, and an ensign level universal. Now, this thing is born to be a torpedo boat, and not just because of that command seat. The console and the trait, and even the experimental weapon are all outfitted specifically with torpedoes in mind, and I kind of love that. The console is called Covert Warhead Module, and the passives on it are really the interesting thing about it, because, well, the projectile damage, that one's nothing to write home about. It's nice, but it's nothing to be like crazy about. The second one, that's the interesting one, because it sets the shared cooldown of all your torpedoes to 1.5 seconds, assuming that it was longer. If it wasn't longer, then it's fine. But if this is equipped on a ship with pilot maneuvers, that shared cooldown becomes 0.5 seconds. That is a very short shared cooldown. That is a very interesting thing for a torpedo build, because that is a very important thing you want to do, is lower that shared cooldown between your torpedoes so you can fire them that much more rapidly. 0.5 seconds, that is a short cooldown. The clickability itself is kind of cool too. It will apply an enhanced battle cloak to you for 15 seconds. It'll set your shields to 0, obviously, because you're cloaked. Up your defense rating, your flight speed, and your turn rate. And everything that you fly nearby, you'll drop a little bomb on, and it'll attach to their hull. And once the effect of the console expires, that bomb will detonate. I imagine that ability is going to be more useful in solo play than it will be in group TFOs, because, you know, if you're flying in with a group, you know, everyone's blowing up everything, you're not going to have a chance to attach bombs to things, and, you know, the target's going to explode before the thing actually has a chance to detonate, so you're never going to get much damage out of it unless you're targeting, you know, big heavy targets like the Borg tactical cubes or the transformers in ISA, something like that. But if you're flying alone, then yeah, you're probably going to get more use out of that. The real value with this console is that passive ability. You know, lowering those cooldowns to that low that's impressive. It's just a shame that it will only go that low on a ship with pilot maneuvers, because honestly, I can't think of any other ships with pilot maneuvers that also have a lieutenant commander command seat. I'm not going to look it up. I'm sure someone will tell me if there is one in the comments. The Starship trait is called Stealth Torpedo Bomber, and with this, you will be able to get free hits of Torpedo Spread 2 by using your pilot maneuvers and your cloaking device. For each second that your cloaking device is active, you will gain 1 stack of this trait, and each individual stack will last up to 45 seconds. Every time you use one of your pilot maneuvers, you will gain 5 stacks. When you reach a total of 10 stacks, that's when you get your Torpedo Spread. Now, once you've hit your Torpedo Spread, the stacks will keep building up, so you can actually store a second torpedo spread until you fired off the first one. I'm really interested in this ability because from the sound of it, it sounds like it could potentially replace Entwined Tactical Matrices for giving you extra torpedo spreads. Because the interesting thing here is that this gives torpedo spread 2, ETM only gives 1. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how that turns out. And obviously this won't replace ETM, you know, fleet-wide, because this is still only something that's going to be really relevant on something with pilot maneuvers. And like I said, I cannot think of another pilot ship that also has a Lieutenant Commander command seat. Next up is another new experimental weapon. This one's called Depth Charge. Sorry, Subspace Depth Charge. What this does is fire Tetron damage at your enemy, but that Tetra damage will scale with your auxiliary power instead of your weapons power, which that's kind of interesting because auxiliary power is a very important stat on a torpedo build. You want to have, you know, a good balance of those exotic abilities, particularly like chemosite-laced weaponry. That is a very powerful thing to have on a torpedo build, and you want to put more buffing into that, and one of the ways to do that is by putting more power into your auxiliary power, because your auxiliary power is going to determine the power of your exotic damage abilities. But the really interesting thing about this is that this experimental weapon will also fire while you have your enhanced battle cloak active, so in effect it will be functioning much like a normal projectile weapon. And that's one more thing to mention about this ship: it does have an enhanced battle cloak, so you are going to be able to fire those projectile weapons while you're still cloaked. Well, sort of. The cloaking device will still be active, but you'll kind of sort of drop out of cloak every time you fire a torpedo. So you'll still be very stealthy, but a little less stealthy when you actually fire the torpedoes. So yeah, I'm very excited about this ship. I had been pretty bored of the torpedo meta for a while now, because I mean I've been flying them on the same ships as I've always been, but introducing pilot maneuvers into that mix, it's interesting. I'm really excited to try this out, especially with the added factor of all the stealth bomber type stuff going on here, because we've got the trait and the console, plus even the experimental weapon. Again, this is just like the previous ship. It's all synergized very well, and I really appreciate that. Now, while this thing was clearly designed with a torpedo build in mind, I mean, they literally said as much on the live stream, you don't have to do a torpedo build on this. You could easily do route reserves to weapons, because I mean that just got a huge buff, so that's a really great addition to this. Or you could just run a normal cannon scatter volley build on this. In fact, scatter volley would be pretty interesting on this, because with that command seat, you could also run suppression barrage. Just nerf the crap out of your enemies so they'd never be able to do enough damage to you in order to destroy you. That's one of the nice things about suppression barrage. So yeah, like the last ship, this is another one. I definitely want to get this ship. Next up is the Terran Monitor Miracle Worker Carrier, and that is not the right bridge officer seating. Or the console. Jeez, man, I need to go to bed. You see what I'm doing to myself, guys? I do this for you. There we go, that's better. Okay, so the Monitor is a carrier, which I am not super thrilled about, but I'm not super disappointed in either after thinking about it for a little bit, just because, I mean, I've had fun with carriers. Carriers are goofy, they're weird, and clearly they're doing stuff to try to help buff carriers a little bit. I mean, just look at what they did with the Terran Prometheus earlier. Yeah, it could be fun. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, they've never done Miracle Worker Temporal on a carrier, not to my knowledge. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Weapons layout, 3-3 weapons layout, pretty typical for a carrier. I really wish they'd start doing like 4-2 more often. They've done that on a couple ships, but not on a lot. I think the only one I can think of is like the Talaru. But anyway, 3-3, 3 device slots, universal console slot because it is a Miracle Worker ship, 2 engineering, 5 science, and 4 tactical. And it's also going to come with these Terran versions of the Valkyrie fighters, which we got recently on the Seneca and Norway. Stats-wise, they are identical to the normal Valkyries, however, so there's really nothing special there. They're just normal Valkyries with a mirror skin. The bridge officer layout, it's got a commander level science / Miracle Worker, lieutenant level science, lieutenant commander universal / temporal, lieutenant commander tactical, and ensign level engineering. Decent bridge officer layout, honestly. Like, you guys have seen some of the you know, really dumb stuff I've done with like the Romulan support carrier or the Seneca. I mean, that, you know, the stuff I've done on there, that's gonna work even better on these because of that Miracle Worker seat. So I can buff energy weapons, plus the temporal. You know, temporal's always good for unconventional systems triggers, plus, you know, the entropy stuff. And with the lieutenant commander seat, I can fit recursive shearing on there, so that's always a plus. The console on this thing is kind of interesting. It's called Automated Heavy Tachyon Emitters. It's got some buffs to tachyon damage and shield drain, which man, when was the last time we got anything that buffed tachyon? That's interesting. But the click ability, again, this is also kind of interesting. It basically fires tachyon beams in every direction. You know, it fires will hit 2 random targets every 2 seconds for up to 20 seconds. They'll deal tachyon damage and drain shield damage. And if you hit if it hits an enemy with its shield facing that is 10% or lower, That tachyon damage will chain to another target, and that chain will result in your tachyon damage being buffed by 10%, but will stack up to 50%. So if you like tachyon builds, this is going to be an interesting console. Honestly, you know, if I ever build a tachyon lazy boat, this is definitely something I would include in that, because this just screams lazy boat. Why am I so warm? Keeps turning up the thermostat. Ugh, someone keeps trying to make everything warm, and here I am in a leather top hat. Okay, the Starship trait. Tachyon Piercer. Every time you activate a tachyon beam, it will deal some additional damage, and it will chain to an additional opponent. Specifically, it'll chain to one nearby target. Both the main and the chain beam will deal some radiation damage, and the main and chain beam will also remove one buff from your target. This could definitely be interesting for drain builds. I know tachyon beam is a pretty important thing over there. I don't know that much about drain builds, so maybe go ask Pirate Scum Gaming. He knows more about those than I do. But I remember I was in a voice call with him while we were watching the live stream. He did seem very interested in this trait, so if you like drain builds, or if you're wanting to get into drain builds, it'd be worth picking up. Overall, interesting ship. I mean, nothing game-breaking at all. I mean, if you like carriers, I feel like you're gonna get some use out of this, just out of the entertainment factor of it all. The console, interesting if you like tachyon builds, and the trait, again, if you like drain builds, that could be of interest to you. Overall, like, the ship itself, though, I think is the big appeal here, because, again, carriers, they're weird, they're goofy, they're not meta at all in any sense of the word, but, you know, pet builds. I love my pet builds. I've been saying this. And honestly, pair this, some of this stuff with the console from, what's it called? The Hydra. That could be kind of interesting. So, because, you know, you activate that Hydra console and all your fighter pets show up and just the Hydra stuff onto your target. That sounds fun. And plus, it's the Nebula. I love the Nebula class. It's such a great looking ship. And, you know, the existing T6 Nebula, it's always had a very niche purpose. I feel like this one will have more mass appeal. Because, again, who doesn't love pets? Pets are fun. Have a bunch of little fighters, you know, running around doing a bunch of damage and doing stuff. And, you know, like I said, with some of that stuff from the Hydra class, that's going to do better over here. Well, maybe not better comparatively between the two, but the Hydra console is definitely going to be a benefit over here as well. So, yeah. Actually, the trait would too. Yeah, anyway, the monitor. Probably not for everyone, but I like it, and it's, you know, again, this is probably going to be on my get list. Oh my god, I might actually have to buy this bundle. The Terran Sirius Command Dreadnought Cruiser. I've been pretty positive about this bundle so far, and this is where things start to go a little downhill. This thing is a command dreadnought. It's got a 4th-4 weapons layout, 4 device slots, 5 engineering, 2 science, and 4 tactical console slots, plus a hangar bay. This will come with the same mirror Valkyries that the monitor has. For the bridge officer layout, it's got a commander level engineering / command seat, a lieutenant commander universal / miracle worker seat, lieutenant commander tactical seat, lieutenant engineering seat, and an ensign science seat. Both the console and starship trait are very shield-based, and you know how I feel about those. The console was a sort of effort to weaponize your shields. Each shield facing will shoot out a cone in every direction, and will deal some kinetic damage to enemies nearby, and will also push them away. The strength of the kinetic damage will be determined by how much shields you have in each facing, and the force of the repel will depend on your distance from the target. While it's active, it'll also add some of your outgoing energy weapon damage as a shield heal to yourself. Yeah, honestly, I really can't imagine a time where I would want to use this. Or I definitely wouldn't want to be on a team with someone using this, because you don't want to scatter your enemies all over the place. You want to cluster them together in one spot so you can just annihilate them with a bunch of stuff. That's why stuff like Gravity Well is really popular. But this is just, it's literally the opposite of that, and I don't like it, and I feel like people are going to use this and think it's fun, and then I'm going to want to yell at them, and I'm going to be that guy, and I don't want to be that guy. But I'm going to be that guy, and it's not good. It's all Shield's fault. It's always the fault of the Shields. They're never a good thing in Stowe. Anyway, the Starship trait. Again, this is a straight-up energy weapon damage buff based on how much shields you have. You'll be maining some sort of buff as long as your shields are above 50% per facing. when the screenshot was taken, Kale's shields were at almost 100% on each facing. They were, drained a little bit on each side. And as you can see, the number here is at 28.1%. So my guessing is that this is going to max out at 30%, which is not impressive whatsoever, because it's literally it's a Cat 1 buff to your energy weapons, and only 30%. That's not worth anything. Now, if this were bonus damage, then we'd be talking. Then I might actually start using some of this new shield stuff that they've integrated in with that pilot revamp. But yeah, 30% Cat 1. That's not worth anything. Overall, the Sirius, honestly, it's just. Frankly, it's boring. I don't like this ship. I'm not impressed with it in any way whatsoever, which is funny given that it is a command ship with a 4-4 layout. You'd think I'd be all gung-ho about, yay, torpedo build. But honestly, for a torpedo, I'm far more interested in the Eagle than this thing. I think a lot of it is just because I'm not really excited about another Terran Galaxy X, because that's effectively what this is. It's another Terran Galaxy Dreadnought, and we already have a Terran Galaxy Dreadnought. That was the legendary Galaxy Dreadnought. And not only are they effectively the same ship, appearance-wise, but they're also very similar stats-wise. Not only are both of them Dreadnought cruisers, but also both of them have very similar seating. This one's a full command ship, but the other one is a full intel ship, but with a Lieutenant Commander command seat. The other one being the legendary Galaxy X. So we've got two Galaxy Dreadnoughts, both of which are best suited for torpedo builds. And the original Yamato also had a Lieutenant Commander command seat. So that's 3 torpedo builds all on the same skeleton of ship, the Galaxy X. You know what they should have done with this ship? Instead of making it a Dreadnought cruiser, make it either a Dreadnought carrier or a flight deck carrier. Like, come on, if a Constitution class can have enough room for 2 hangar bays, then so does a Galaxy class, definitely. But at the same time, it would have synergized better with what they were doing on the previous ships, i.e. all the stuff they were doing with the pets on the Hydra. Blanked on the name there for a second. And it would have fed more into the Hydra's trait, because this thing can actually use saucer separation. And yeah, it's already got the 1 hangar bay, but why not just feed more into that? At least that way it would make it different than the other existing Galaxy X Dreadnoughts, because as this is, you're just blending it into the crowd, and it just makes it boring. And frankly, I also don't think they should have made this a command ship, because with a command ship, you're immediately going to want to go with a torpedo build, or at least I would, because that's how I'm wired. But, all the torpedo focus is being put on the Eagle, so why do that again? I'd rather them just kind of go more into the pet route, because I mean the torpedo meta has been done to death. It's been buffed, and it's been buffed, and it's been buffed. Frankly, it doesn't need to be buffed anymore, and yet they keep doing it. Pets, that's what needs help. So why can't we just lean more into that? Honestly, I probably would have made this like a temporal ship. That way it kind of lines up with the Cygnus, because, this is basically just a Dreadnought version of the Cygnus, so why not make them both temporal? Then keep the America Worker seat, because then at least it makes a good beam overload or fire at will build. And of course, if they went with a Dreadnought carrier, then it would be more tactical focused, and that's probably why they didn't do that. Then you'd have 3 very tactical focused ships, because both the Hydra and the Eagle are both escorts. And then you don't want to have 3 of those. You need to have a cruiser. So then, flight deck carrier. that still works here. Flight deck carrier, it would have been the answer here. But yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm a little sick of Dreadnoughts. We've had so many. There have been a lot of good Dreadnoughts, but we're kind of beating that horse to death here. Also, another reason to add temporal to this seating is because with Command and America Worker seating together, you're not going to have a lot of unconventional systems triggers, because both Command and America Worker have no abilities that trigger that personal trait, and frankly, that's always been kind of a problem in my opinion. But that, coupled with the fact that this has very little science seating, you're not going to have much of a way to reduce the cooldown of your universal consoles, and that is a very important step in the meta these days. And even outside the meta, you want to keep lowering the cooldown of your consoles, just because your consoles are the fun things. Those are the things that make all the crazy things go wee, and make all the flashy colors and the cool animations. Why not get more of that? And the only way to do that is to lower that cooldown. And so again, that brings us back to unconventional systems. So yeah, this one I'm very unimpressed with. It's It's boring. It's got a shield console, it's got a shield trait, it's got boring seating. I'm bored. I'm bored just by looking at it. I don't. Ugh. Definitely the bottom tier with a 4. Now, those were the new ships, but this bundle is also going to be coming with 2 more ships that are not new to the game, but are going to be new to the C-Store. And the first one is the Mirror Crossfield Science Destroyer. Now, when this ship was announced to be as part of the 13th anniversary bundle, this was met with quite a lot of opinions from the community. Now, I think there needed to be some clarification about what this ship is, and just some general clarification on what the whole drama was about. This is the ship that is coming with the bundle, the Mirror Crossfield Science Destroyer. It's a promo ship. It was released, 2019? So it's been in the game for some time now. The teaser that was released on Twitter, that showed a what looked like a Terran version of the Glenn-class starship, which that is the sort of the 2409 version of the Crossfield that was originally released in the 10th anniversary bundle. A lot of people seem to be thinking that this was signifying the release of a Terran version of the Glenn-class ship, literally a mirror version of the legendary ship that was released in the 10th anniversary bundle, meaning that this was a new ship. That's not what this was. Remember in the 12th anniversary bundle what they did with the mirror angle? They literally just took the mirror angle out, the one from the lockbox. They gave it a 2409 skin, but they just threw that in with the bundle. It was really just a new skin for an existing starship. That's what the Mirror Glen is. It's just a new skin for existing versions of the Crossfield class. And along with that, they are throwing in the existing Mirror Crossfield. It's just getting a new skin, and you're going to be able to use that new skin on any other versions of it. It's not a new ship. Now, the reason this caused such a big fuss is that the Mirror Crossfield was released before the Legendary Crossfield. So the console on this ship, the Starship trait, and the experimental weapon on this ship, those are all available on the Legendary version of the Crossfield. So if you have the 10th anniversary bundle, you already own all that. So it was kind of taken as kind of a slap to the face to anyone who already owned the 10th anniversary bundle, because great, now I'm going to have to buy all that crap again, because that's kind of a waste of money, because, the bundle's inevitably going to come out with some other exclusive stuff, but you really expect me to be excited about this ship? The ship where I already have all its stuff? And frankly, of all the variants of the Crossfield, which at this point there are a number of them, really, this is the least interesting one. Or at least stats-wise it is. It's a Science Destroyer, and frankly, Science Destroyers are weird because they're able to kind of flip-flop between having a tactical-focused bridge officer layout and console layout and weapons layout, and a more science-focused layout. So they kind of flip-flop between being an escort and a science ship, but that's not nearly as practical as Cryptic seems to think it is. The mechanic was kind of designed as you would be able to flip-flop between being an escort and a science ship mid-fight, but the problem with that is your stats don't change. Say you go in, you're kitted out as a science ship, you've got all your EPG stuff in there because that's what a science ship is. You got all your exotic damage stuff going on there, all those consoles, boom, you are a science ship. Now, you're in the middle of a fight and you want something more weapons-based. You just flip the button, you go to tactical mode on the ship. The problem with Science Destroyers is it doesn't change your loadout. It doesn't, none of your gear changes. So suddenly you are in an escort, but you're still geared as a science vessel. So all of your tactical stuff, all your weapons, none of those are getting buffed. So what's the point of them? Additionally, your mastery package doesn't change. So this is always going to have the science vessel mastery package. So again, it's never going to be as good as, an actual escort. Furthermore, the seating on this thing just isn't all that interesting. I mean, yeah, it's got a Lieutenant Commander temporal seat, but it's not even full spec. So you're just not going to have full temporal. It's not going to have the full reconstruction beam, which, I mean, kind of what you want on a science ship. That's especially for one that's a freaking promo ship. But additionally, it's also got a lieutenant level pilot seat. I'm not even gonna go in on a rant on that one because I've done that a million times on this channel already. But yeah, not the most impressive ship. Not even the most impressive version of the Crossfield. If this had been the refit Crossfield that we're adding into this bundle, I would have been ecstatic because that trait is insanely valuable to have. Universal designs, that is a really great starship. But this thing, not only do people with the 10th anniversary bundle already have all the things that are on the ship, but frankly, none of it's even that good. Like Terran machinations, it's a very niche trait because all it's gonna do is benefit Dusai builds. That's directed energy weapons mixed with science abilities. It's very niche just because it's really difficult to balance, because you gotta balance your weapons power and your auxiliary power together, and it just becomes kind of a fight between getting the most out of both of them. And it's also really annoying because then you're having to sacrifice all your engine power, so you're gonna be very slow doing all of this at the same time, and it's not for everyone, trust me. The console on it is really underwhelming too. Weaponized helical torsion. I guess I shouldn't say very underwhelming, because this actually was part of the phaser meta for a hot minute, because its passive ability the passive on the console does buff phaser damage, but it also buffs your crit severity. So at the time we were kind of using this on a lot of phaser builds just for the sake of buffing your crit severity, along with getting a little bit more out of your phasers. The click ability, however, is absolute garbage. It deals a little bit of kinetic damage. Pretty sure it's kinetic damage, but it's nothing to write home about at all, or even mention, because it's terrible. And yeah, there have been a bunch of other consoles introduced since then, so there are plenty of other ways to get crit severity. So the console itself, not worth anything anymore. And the experimental weapon on this thing, that is crap. I remember Augie testing this out briefly. I believe he called it the Terran Tickler, because that's all it's gonna do. It's just gonna tickle your enemies. Not gonna do any damage to them. Just gonna tickle them, just irritate them a little bit. That's all it's gonna do. So yeah, Mirror Crossfield, not a great ship. Not a terrible ship, frankly, but not a ship that I am in any way excited about. Not something I really want unlocked on my whole account. There's no practicality here, and yeah, it was just a huge disappointment compared to last year, in which we got the Mirror Angle unlocked on our whole accounts, which that's a good ship. Like it's not a great ship either, but it's an escort, so it's much more well-rounded. It's easier to use, and frankly, it also came with superior area denial, which is a very valuable starship trait if you like pet builds, which you know I do. So yeah, frankly, the addition of this was just kind of insulting. As someone who bought the 10th anniversary bundle, I was very upset about this. Fortunately, Cryptic heard this rather massive outcry of disappointment over the Mirror Crossfield being added to the 13th anniversary bundle, so they also threw in another ship, the Styx. Frankly, this ship is very popular in the DPS community. It's a 4/4 Dreadnought, it's a command ship, it's got a secondary intel seat, so again, you know, remember I was talking about how on the Sirius, yeah, it doesn't really have a lot of unconventional systems triggers. Intel solves that. Intel is great for unconventional systems triggers. Yeah, this thing's really great as a torpedo build or a tank build. It's also really popular because of its pets, because it's got these unique, what were they called? Terran Empire frigates. That's what they were called. I really should have remembered that. Anyway, these Terran frigates, they're really nice because they've got some really nice abilities on them that are really great for debuffing. Yeah, they come with attack pattern beta and suppression barrage, plus fire at will. These things are going to be debuffing your enemies like crazy. They won't be able to do any damage, and their damage resistance is going to be crazy lowered because of that combination of suppression barrage and attack pattern beta 3. The only downside is that these pets are only usable on the Styx itself, but that just makes the Styx that much more valuable, because the Styx itself is a good ship, and frankly, I would rather the Sirius be closer to this, because honestly, I would like it more if it were. Of course, you know, going back to what I said earlier, I really think that should have been a flight deck carrier or a dreadnought carrier, just to, you know, make the whole theme of the whole pets thing going on over there more interesting. But yeah, Styx Dreadnought, I'm happy about this. I will say, I do wish it was the Mirror Warship more, because Terran Goodbye unlocked on my whole account would be much more valuable to me, but it is what it is. Still a good ship. I do like this. I own this on one character, but I hardly ever play that character anymore, so it'll be nice to be able to use this on other characters, just because practically I do think this is more useful than the other Dreadnought this bundle came with. The only downside here is I don't think the ship has a lot of mass appeal. I feel like a lot of people are going to look at this and still be like, meh, like they were with the Mirror Crossfield. But like I said, the DPSers will be happy, but I still think Mirror Warship would have been a better choice, because that definitely has more mass appeal, because that is a great cannon scatter volley boat. It's a Constitution. It's got a meta starship trait, so you know, having that unlocked on your whole account, very valuable. I really wish it was the mirror warship. Oh well, I stopped dwelling on it because I'm just going to be annoyed about it. Okay, so in total, everything that comes inside this bundle is the 4 new ships that we just went over, plus the Styx and the Mirror Crossfield. Also, that new Mirror Glen skin that will come with the Mirror Crossfield. That's going to be exclusive to the bundle. This will also come with a 100% off token, an exclusive EV suit. That's the Terran EV suit that you saw, who we learned to be, spoilers, Emperor Crusher, digitizing that planet. You know, he's in the EV suit. That's the EV suit that this is coming with. We're also getting a hologram Terran Beverly Crusher Bridge Officer, a unique kit module called, they said it was like some sort of warp bubble rupture kind of kit module. They didn't go into much detail. We'll see more about it in the blog. I thought it's going to be, that interesting, frankly. It'll also come with the title Storm Chaser, 6 ship slots, 6 experimental upgrades, 13 ultimate tech upgrades, and 13 master keys. Altogether, this is going to be 17,500 Zen, but we'll have a 25% off sale for the introductory sale, and that will bring it down to 13,125 Zen. Okay, so I like 3 of the 4 new ships, but even then, I feel like most people are only gonna like either the Eagle or the Hydra, or one or both of those. I feel like the Nebula is a little more niche crowd because I'm a weirdo who likes carriers sometimes. And yeah, the Galaxy X Dreadnought, that was just boring. That was just poorly thought out. That should have been something else. The Mirror Crossfield, I've already made my feelings about that. It was very disappointing, but the Styx Dreadnought does kind of redeem this bundle a little bit. Well, more than a little bit, frankly, because it will be an account unlock. This also comes with a 100% off coupon, which again, that's 1 more ship, so you're getting 4, 5, 6, 7 starships in this bundle unlocked on your whole account, which that's a good number of ships. The EV suit, I mean, if you really like your Terran Space Barbie, that's probably going to be of interest to you, but actually, I have a bit of a rant on this, so stick around for the end for that. But yeah, if you like your Terrans, yeah, go for it, but not really something that appeals to me. Same with the holo buff. I don't really use the holographic bridge officers all that much. I prefer to make my own characters. Yeah, those really don't appeal to me. The kit module, I bet it'll look pretty. Yeah, that's about all I can say about that. We know literally nothing about it stats-wise. Kale didn't show it off on the live stream. We'll probably hear more about it in the blog when that comes out, but I doubt it will be anything super powerful. The title, who gives a crap? The ship slots, the experimental upgrades, I can buy those whenever. Same with the master keys. And the tech upgrades, I mean, that many tech upgrades would be kind of helpful, but again, Phoenix upgrades are always a thing. So I guess in the end, it really just comes down to how much do you care about the Styx? Because that's really that's really the only draw to getting the whole bundle itself. Because the Mirror Crossfield, we've made our feelings about that very clear. The rest of the stuff, meh. The ships, the Terran ships themselves, the new ones, I mean, you could get all 4 of them, but they're also available individually because they're not legendary ships. They are, they're spec'd to be like legendary ships, but they don't come with all of the previous stuff. So it's going to be like last year where the new ships will be available individually. Honestly, if I had some 100% off coupons, I would probably just say screw the bundle and get 2 or 3 of the ships individually. But like I said, I'm wanting to get 3 of the ships, so that's talking 9,000 Zen already. So do I want to just go all the way? I don't know if I do. Now, if they had put the Mirror Warship in that bundle, then it would be a definite yes, because I really like that ship. But I don't know if I care about the Styx that much. Wow, this might be the first anniversary bundle that I don't buy. That kind of says something, honestly. Because I buy a lot of crap in this game. Honestly, yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the Eagle and the Hydra right away. And then I'll probably get the Monitor during a ship sale or something, or if I get a 100% off coupon, but I don't think I'm going to buy this bundle. Oh, the rant about the EV suit. Okay, so this is the EV suit that is going to be in this bundle, the Terran EV suit. I really hope I found a picture of that EV suit, otherwise I'm just pointing at my microphone. Now, there's a Federation version of this EV suit as well, and actually, I really wanted it for a very long time because I like the look of it, and I just, I really wanted a contemporary 2409 EV suit for my character and my bridge officers because, Space Barbie, obviously. the model for this suit has existed since Victory's life, but they didn't introduce a playable version until, like, I think it was earlier last year. Now, the way they released this thing was really stupid in my opinion, because they tied it into the legendary Vesta bundle. You know, the one with the level 65 character boost for normal Federation characters. You know, the only way to get the suit was to unlock all the gear and all that stuff. And even then, once you unlocked it, you only had the one suit. There was no reclaim on it. I couldn't outfit all my bridge officers. It was just, I could only have it on my one character, and that annoyed the crap out of me. But now this Terran version is coming out, and they've already said it's reclaimable. So I assume you're going to be able to reclaim more than one on your character, so you're going to be able to put them on your whole away team. So why does the Terran version get this special treatment, but the Federation version, what appears to be the standard EV suit for Starfleet in 2409, why is this one treated so exclusively that you only get one? This pisses me off, and it really bugs me, and I'm gonna keep ranting about it until I get a solid answer or a better way to get these suits, because right now it's stupid. Okay, anyway, rant over. That's the anniversary bundle. Let me know what you guys think of it down below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you gonna be like me and get like a couple of the ships and forego the whole bundle, or are you getting the whole bundle? Or do you just not like anything at all? Yeah, let me know down below. While you're down there, be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. If you'd like to further support the channel, be sure to hit that join button to become a member, or hit the super thanks button, or you can find the link to the merch store in the video's description. Either way, thank you so much for watching. My name's Stu, and I will see you guys next time.